Have you seen those online internet like calculators that if you punch in a few things, it can tell you what baby name you should use or what your rock star name should be, or
You mean like Facebook quizzes, like what wizard are you?
stuff like that. This one I found on slate.com.
Then it's got to be for real.
Well, what it says is it's a design that tells you about how much money you would have if you would have eloped instead of spent money on your wedding.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
This is bad for the industry. People are worried about iPods. Let's
That's
bury
what I'm
this
saying.
article.
It's entered the number of years you've been married and the amount that you forked over for your wedding, and it crunches how much money you would have had today if you had invested that cash in the S&P 500 in the year of your marriage instead. And what could have been?
And?
I didn't do it yet.
You're afraid?
I am really afraid. I'm really afraid because, it is. Oh, and plus, Slate, you go to this thing. Let me see here. If it's, I'm going to do it right now. Okay. 21
While you
years.
do that, welcome to the Bill and Jason Show for another week.
Hi.
That's Bill Hermann, and I'm Jason Jones, and we are broadcasting from our respective home studio offices.
Right.
That's we are. That's what this lovely decor is. And
I decorated my room like this because it's usually very neat, and I wanted it to look like I'm really very busy and unorganized. And that would be
working
awesome, I thought.
very hard. Yeah, I can tell you've got your organization, your day planner there is on the one side with the pictures and everything like that, and then your inspirational quotes on the doors. And then
I've got 21
printer in the back there.
21 years, and we
inbox?
spent about
It's empty.
$15,000 on our wedding. Oh dear Lord!
What did it say?
Oh.
You spent $3,000 on your wedding?
No, 15.
Okay.
Spent about 15 grand after the dress and the ring and the food. Actually, for most people, we didn't really do as badly as we think. But at 15 grand, if we had invested 15 grand in the S&P 500 the year I was married, right now I would have almost 100 grand.
Wow.
$99,601.
And just think what you could do with it now. Nothing, because you're waiting until you're old. So you enjoyed it.
Oh my God.
So we would like to encourage
That is so
everyone to
depressing.
spend more on their weddings, especially on their entertainment, because
so depressing.
a memory like that is priceless. Because everybody knows your marriage doesn't get better. I'm just kidding. It should. If you're doing it right.
I don't know that I can continue on the show today. This is really bumming me out.
Are you really upset now?
If I had 100 grand right now, do you think I'd really be doing this show? I mean, come on.
Probably. You'd just be buying dinner.
Probably
Right?
would have found another way to spend it.
Hey, so let me change the subject so I can take
please
you out
do.
of your,
Please, quickly.
out of your angst. Recently here, our Minnesota Orchestra did something really quite extraordinary.
Really?
They, because the borders of Cuba have somewhat been opened up, and they're opened up for people to come travel down to down to
my
Cuba.
box of Cuban cigars are worth nothing anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, speaking of that, a little side story is that that I heard on an interview, and I can't remember. It was one of Kennedy's aides, and right before they put the embargo on Cuba, he asked one of his aides, "Get me like something like 40 cases of Cuban cigars." Okay, yeah, just can you get that right away? And he was like, sure, okay. And so he did it, and he got them in and had them delivered. And he's like, here you go. Here they are, and put them in his office. He's like, great. He's like, why did you want him to do that? He said, because the embargo is going on today. And so he had his cigars, and then the embargo went into place on Cuba, which was kind of a funny little thing that you wouldn't expect. But that's this story
I
isn't.
completely expect that. How and how many years in Leavenworth did he spend?
Oh, Kennedy's assistant. He didn't, because there was no
Wouldn't that
embargo when he bought
isn't
them.
that illegal? I mean, you're using some insider information here.
No, it wasn't illegal. It was legal. It was like right before he put.
Yeah, but he knew something nobody else knew.
Yeah, I suppose that would be insider buying. It's not really. It wasn't like trading in cigars. It wasn't like unless maybe that's how Kennedy's got all their money.
Oh no, they made all their money in bootlegging, so it's kind of the same thing.
I mean, how they got more money because they had money before, but they got lots of money like selling the cigars on the street. You want a Cuban? No, and that's not what this is about. So anyway, so the Minnesota Orchestra went down there. They performed in Cuba. They did this. It was really amazing. Talking about an incredible experience.
Right.
They surprised their audience, and well, let's just say the Cuban government was the client. Letting them in. Under the analogy that wedding entertainers work on, we have our client that we go in, and they surprised them by playing their national anthem. Which they don't typically, only at official events, official state events, do they ever play the national anthem. It's not like here where it's like ball games or at a picnic or wherever you want to jam away, know. And so they opened the show by playing the Cuban national anthem, followed by the American national anthem, kind of showing like kind of a new unity or a new conversation. It was like there wasn't a dry eye in the place. It was like just moving and incredible for everybody there and things like that. And this was broadcast on Minnesota Public Radio. They streamed it over the internet. It was really quite an extraordinary thing. Now, this is on the heels of well over a year of labor disputes between the orchestra musicians and management and trying to come to terms to what the salaries of the musicians would be and all of that sort of thing.
It was so bad that they weren't even sure that the Minnesota Orchestra would exist.
Oh, yeah.
When they were all done.
Well, even the conductor walked.
Yeah, I remember that.
The conductor wasn't part of the musicians union, but he walked away from he was like threatening to try to go okay, now you've got something at stake. Now come to some kind of agreement.
Right, because I'm not going to let you sit here and diminish the value of the artists that I lead.
Right. Oh, exactly. Right. And it was getting to the point where it's like, well, this is a waste of time. I could go do what I do someplace else.
Exactly.
Although I think the move was much more in solidarity to create an agreement, like to try to create okay, now let's put something more at stake here to try to force an agreement to happen. So anyway, it was ugly and it went on for a long time and so they got everything settled. They came to an agreement, and of course, everybody didn't feel like they won at the end.
A lot of hurt feelings.
They settled. There was a lot of settling and that sort of thing. And so then it's like, okay, now we're done. Now let's just go and make music, right?
Right.
And Kevin Smith.
Man, he's a great director.
Not the same.
How has he had the chance to do Clerks and Chasing Amy and still be the Minnesota Orchestra's
president
conductor?
He's everywhere. This guy.
He really is.
He really is. And how does he find the time to post all that goofy stuff on Facebook and be running the Minnesota Orchestra? Yeah,
he's a multi-talented guy. He really should be making more money.
He really, really is. He must be telling him lots of stories to distract them.
Right.
Maybe that's why it took so long for this thing that got so protracted, because he's like, no, wait, let me tell you another story. So anyway, he did something really quite genius, actually. At the end of all of this, he was the one that led the charge that says, okay, let's do a performance in Cuba. And normally to do an international performance and take the whole orchestra someplace, it would take like a year to plan and prepare.
Right.
And he said, we're going to do this in 3 months. And they set a date, which everybody's scrambling to try to get everything in order and all the visas and all this. Plus there's all the new factor of this country just became open to travel and things like that. And so it was an amazing feat that they got everything logistically handled and coordinated and went down there and performed and did it and actually did it. And I'm going to send him an email. I'm going to ask him if this was intentional on his part, because from a coaching point of view, this was actually like the smartest thing that he could have done for the organization. Absolutely smartest, because it created something that could the conversation around the labor dispute that went on and was nasty. And there's all kinds of ill feelings about that. Probably I don't know if probably still, but I mean, like, just coming out of it, it's not like, okay, we're good now. La, 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 la. Right. Everybody has a memory and they're like, I remember what you did. But by bringing everybody together to do something really big like this, and to go and do it in the speed that they did and the timeliness that they did, and to have everybody together to do what they're come together to do in the first place, which is make music and move people, emotionally when they're playing music. all together, and then do it in a way that has like international implications. To go and do that was just extraordinary because it unified everybody. It unified management. It unified the musicians and the conductor, and as they were pulling all this together, and everybody, there's no time to think about like how you felt about how that was with the negotiations before, or whether you got all you wanted or this or that. It was like, we've got something to do now. Now we've got something to get done other than, well, we got a concert on Thursday. Should we practice?
Right.
And so it was like really, really quite brilliant. And the big takeaway is if you have an organization, if you have a multi-op, or that you're a manager in an organization, and anytime that you deal with something where there's emotions involved and there's upset involved, and you get everything settled, the best thing that you can do to unify and bring everybody together is actually give everyone something to focus on that really speaks to the purpose of why they're there in the first place, to pull them together around something that they can be unified around, which is around, like in this case, it was the purpose of like making music and doing it somewhere else and making an extraordinary statement. So,
well, and creating a possibility that's bigger than themselves.
Yeah,
creating
bigger than
something that they can. I mean, creating the real possibility of doing something that if you sit and think about it too long, you're going to find a million reasons why, I couldn't do that. I mean, and this can speak to not just organizations, but to young entrepreneurs that are doing it all by themselves, that are regularly beat down by what they think already exists that's in front of them. And that's why, I do that, but I got this and I got that, and this is happening, and this is the way it is for me, so I just have to live in this little, as opposed to create this really big, amazing, unifying, or powerful, or whatever that is that enrolls them into something that's greater than themselves, so that they have something really huge to shoot for. And to do that, you need to get out of your head about all the little stuff.
Well, and that even, you bringing that up really kind of jars my memory about, because initially I was just thinking about like, well, if somebody had like a multi-operation where they have a lot of performers and things like that. But think about like every wedding that you walk into, you have a whole group of vendors that have all kinds of opinions and experiences about what DJs do, about what MCs do, about what you should do, about what you shouldn't do, about what they like, what they don't like. I mean, this whole myriad of attitude, and you can come in and really be a unifying force around like really saying like, hey, we're here to make this great for our couple. Right. So let's work together to make it great for our couple, because something you all can agree on is you're all there to make it great for them. Right. And if you start that conversation that, hey, I'm just here to make it great for them, aren't you guys? Sure, great, awesome. So how can we work together to make that happen? Then you've got people that are reminded about like why they're there in the first place. Not like, well, don't tell me what to do, and I do my own thing, and I'm whatever. Right.
Well, and that's a conversation. That's a conversation I had that conversation. We talked about San Diego last week. And when I went to San Diego, I had the same thing going on in my head about the fact that I'm going to be dealing with a wedding planner. Okay, everybody in the world that works with wedding planners have their own ideas of what they think the wedding planner is there to do. And they're there to boss us around or tell us we don't know how to do our job or whatever that is. So now you're sitting in, or you, like you said, you can choose to look at it as it really is, not what's going on in your head. I mean, when I finally, had my conversation with the wedding planner around what you just said, all of a sudden it went from she's out to make sure that I'm going to be kept down in her little box.
Yeah.
Yes, we are working together, and isn't it going to be great? And it was better because of our collaboration as opposed to in spite of it.
Yeah, and a big distinction to make is to take the lead instead of trying to please everyone. If you go into every situation trying to please all the other vendors because that's going to make, then you'll have good relations with them, you won't. And they'll walk on you. And
there's a difference between taking the lead. There's a difference, too, between taking the lead and being bossy.
Yeah,
taking the lead is more about being available to collaborate around the goal, not about I'm taking the lead, so pay attention. I know what to do, and you're wrong.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Well put. Is going in to again rally everybody around the purpose of why you're coming together, why you're working together, and like explore the best ways that you guys can work together to create the best end result for the client, which is what everyone. As a matter of fact, The client is calling me right now. So I'd love to finish this podcast, but I have to take this call and speak to
All
this
right. Well,
client. that
thanks
I'm
again for
collaborating with.
listening in to the Bill and Jason Show. Jason's going to take his call, and we're going to see you next week. If you have yet to go and check us out on iTunes, check us out on iTunes. Please go there. You can listen to us in the car with our iPod.
It's Sharon, my local Google specialist.
Oh, cool. And while
Hi,
Jason
Sharon.
figures out
I missed
how much
you.
he's going to advertise on Google, we'll just see you next time. Thanks again for listening to the Bill and Jason Show. Bye.
Broadcasting from high atop planet Earth at a rate of 96 kilobytes sample per second over the interweb in an effort to stop glorifying being busy. This has been an entertainment experience production.